Yes, happy Monday, Monday, Monday. You can trust that day. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Happy Family Day, by the way. I hope you're watching a replay of this because you should be out spending time with family, and enjoying the weather. Like today, if you are watching this live, it's about 5 degrees, right? So snow melting. We had a really nice day last week. Everything melted and water came into our basement, but we're okay. And then the snow blizzard came, and now we're melting again. I'm melting. But that's a good sign, right? Because that means we're getting closer and closer, yes, to the springtime, right? Our winters, we don't really get a lot of snow around here. It can get cold, but when we do get snow, we seem to get a lot of it, right? So happy Monday, and I will say hello to everyone who's watching. And I'll say a shout out to Danny and Barry and Jesse and anybody else who regularly watches. Today's show is pre-recorded as I'm currently at the Sarnia Sting as they're playing the Flint Firebirds, and hopefully a positive result coming from that. And we're going to talk about the Sarnia Sting, though, coming up in just a moment. But first, how about congratulations, Canada, 4th overall at the Olympics with 26 medals. Wow. At the 2022 Olympics. 16 days of every second, every moment counts when you're the athlete. Congratulations to all participants, really, because it's so many years of hard work and practicing and then traveling and just constant. That's it for every day. You're just doing something, right? So really, congratulations to all the athletes. And thanks for bringing us such incredible sports to watch. So, yes, thank you again. And congratulations, of course, again to Canada. 4th overall and 26 medals. A great accomplishment. I'll just quickly say, if you haven't done it yet, just a reminder to please go to my website, theshowlive.live, where you will see some other videos and things happening there. There's a news forum there. There's even a place where if you want to share your event, there's an event forum there to share your event that's coming up. And if you'd like to be on the show, by all means, send me an email. Simply go there to the website and click on that contact us button, or send me, if we're friends on Facebook, send me a message. Let me know why you want to be on the show, or maybe you know somebody who'd like to be on the show. I'm always looking for the good and the positive that we can share here on the show. That's really the purpose of being here, right? Okay, well, let's go. First of all, I always have to say thank you to my continued support from our sponsors, Hughes Intelligence Security Systems, who not only support me here on the show, but they support our Sarnia Sting broadcasts. In fact, we've been doing a lot of the broadcasts from the Hughes Intelligence hockey suite at the Progressive Auto Sales Arena. So thank you, Barry and his team, for supporting us there. Joe's Discount Tire, been here for a few years now, and you're going to have to need those tires changed again pretty soon, right? But whenever you need some tire service, make sure you go down to Joe's Discount Tire here in Sarnia. Tell them David Burrows sent you. And here in Signs, SWO, one of the group of companies, I should say, from AG Event Graphics. Thanks to Guy and his team for all his support. And also Tourism Sarnia Lambton, otherwise known as Ontario's Blue Coast. Thank you for coming on board and giving us all your support. And make sure you check out all of their Facebook pages, websites, and give these local companies and groups your support as well. All right, well, let's get into the Sarnia Sting. What an incredible week for them. Look at this. 3 in a row. And, of course, right now we're at the Progressive Auto Sales Arena watching the Sarnia Sting take on the Flint Firebirds. And they'll take them on back-to-back today and then Friday and Saturday coming up. But 4-3 in a shootout over the Kitchener Rangers, a big sort of new rivalry going on there between Sarnia and Kitchener. But the Sarnia Sting would come out on top with a shootout 4-3, and then they would come back to play them here. An incredible win for the Sarnia Sting at 6-3. It was a fantastic game and well-earned for sure. We spoke to Ben Gaudreau and Theo Hill at the post-game press conference. Be sure to check that out at sarniasting.com or on their Facebook page as well. And then, just recently, wow, what a game again. 6-3 seems to be the magic number. And they did it against the Saginaw Spirit this past Saturday. So congratulations to the Sarnia Sting. You can get their 50-50 tickets online as well if you're not going to be at the game. That's still available. Anything you need to know about the Sarnia Sting, of course, head on over to sarniasting.com. And a shout out to the Sarnia Sting and all their staff and Mara and her team for the social media. They're all doing a fantastic job of keeping you informed, and I'm really grateful to be a part of their team as well. So go Sting, go. And of course, later today, check out at sarniasting.com. Hopefully positive results for your Sarnia Sting. All right. Well, today is pre-recorded, of course, because of Family Day, and I'm actually live at the Sarnia Sting. But we still wanted to bring you this week's show, right? Episode 538. And two guests here today. I'm going to jump right into it right away. My first guest is Dawn Stilwell, and she wrote a book called Jennifer's Choice, A Right to Die Story. It's about her sister. And I'm going to let her tell that story right now. Take a look. Dawn Stilwell, and I'll be back. All right. Well, my first guest here today, we've got quite a topic to share with you here today. And I was just saying to my guest, how do we start this? I guess we just say it right out loud. We're going to talk about assisted dying and the right to die. And Dawn, thanks so much for being here today to share this story.
Oh, thank you for having me, David.
You're welcome. This is, as I said earlier, I've gotten partway through this book, and it's already quite a journey just to read this book, Jennifer's Choice, A Right to Die Story. And Jennifer was your sister.
Yeah, she was my youngest sister.
Yeah. Okay. So November 13th, 2021. That's a date that is going to stick with you forever.
Yes, it is. That is the day that my sister chose to die by a medically assisted. Well, she had medically assisted suicide.
Yeah.
She had been diagnosed with stage 4 inflammatory breast cancer early on in the pandemic. And that's not the kind of breast cancer you get past. It's ongoing treatments until death. And the prognosis is maybe 1 in 5 survive 5 years.
Right.
So she knew she didn't have a lot of time left.
Mm-hmm. This is, because she was 50 years old, right?
She was 50 years old when she passed, yes.
Yeah. And how did this journey, obviously she wasn't well, but how did the journey of the decision, I guess, to say, this is what I want to do?
Well, she threw that option out there early on because she knew this was a life-limiting disease, and she knew she didn't want to suffer. And I mean, I can't say I blame her. So this is something she tossed out, the summer of 2020, when she was going through chemo and she was going through several surgeries and then radiation. Excuse me. But she said that I think I'm going to look at this choice when it's getting closer to that time. Mm-hmm. And the family's like, okay, yeah, but we're thinking this is years away. Her oncologist gave her 3 years or so. That's kind of the average. Okay. So we're only a few months into her treatment, so we're thinking, okay, that's a ways off. But last summer of 2021, she had a few months after all these other treatments where she felt good, but what she had as a complication was metastatic pleural effusion. So she had cancerous liquid that was forming around her lungs in the pleural space, and she eventually had drains installed, and she had scarring on her lungs from the radiation. So it was growing very difficult for her to breathe. Mm-hmm. And when she was getting less relief, they said, well, we'll put you on chemo again. That might help beat back the cancer and give you better breathing. But the chemo made her feel worse. And then it became a quality of life issue for her. It's like, if the chemo makes me feel worse than I did before I started the chemo, and I'm got to take it for months yet, and it may not even give me more time. That's the point where she said, I'm just going to go on palliative care, comfort care only. And that's at that point, that's when we knew we're probably not going to have her for very much longer, because there would be nothing beating back the cancer. And instead of having months to years, we were looking at weeks to months, maybe. Right.
The choice, a tough choice, obviously, to make. Nobody hopes they're ever in that position to have to make that choice. Right. And a lot of, I can't imagine the emotional roller coaster that you and your sister and your several family members must have been going through, right?
Well, those of us who are close to her, we have another sister, my mom, my dad, this was very hard for us to hear, because obviously we love Jennifer, and, we wanted the best for her, but I considered it her choice to die this way as an ultimate act of self-care, because there was no hope for getting better.
Yeah.
So instead of dying an agonizing death, or possibly a very medicated death, like to the point of, being in a medical coma and waiting for death to come, she decided to be proactive about it and decided, well, I'm going to try to live life as normally as I can for as long as I can. And then when the bad days outweigh the good days, then it's time to do something about it.
Right. This is a really personal story, obviously, and I got to ask you then, what made you decide to? I need to write about this.
Well, when Jennifer decided to go on palliative care only, and then it's kind of in your face that her death is on the horizon, it's coming. I was experiencing anticipatory grief about the whole situation, and I sought out help from a hospice in Sarnia, because they have a grief counselor on staff.
Yeah, which is a fantastic program from what I understand.
Definitely. I highly recommend it. You don't even have to have a family member there, because Jennifer was in Windsor.
Oh, okay.
They'll take you in off the street. And if you need the help, they offer it. And so I sought out the grief counselor, and I was in counseling. And one of the things she suggested doing was keeping a grief journal. And so that's what I began doing. And it was a few days after Jennifer passed when I went back to the journal, and I'm writing away. And it just dawned on me that this was the kind of information I had looked for before Jennifer passed, because there is not a lot of first-person experiences that you can find online about medical assistance in dying.
Right.
There's lots of web pages from the government outlining the law. Dying with Dignity has a few, I think 5 or 6 stories, but they really kind of lean towards the benefits for the person who's going to use this procedure, but nothing really about what the families went through. And so it evolved from a grief journal into the book.
Yeah. You talk about Dying with Dignity. It is a website that's available that you do mention in your book as well, right?
Yes.
So what? And there it is up on the screen. What kind of things are they going to go through here on this website that's going to help people?
Well, that's the thing, that they're all about Dying with Dignity. Obviously, they are very pro medical assistance in dying, and so they help to navigate how the procedure goes, and they give you, and what was of interest to me was the stories about people who had utilized it.
Yeah. So you didn't really, because it's still a fairly, how long have we been able to do this?
Since 2016.
Yeah.
Latest numbers that are out are for the year 2020, and 7,595 people across Canada took advantage of having a medically assisted death.
Yeah.
In 2020.
Right.
And that number has gone up 15 to 20% year over year.
Right. So it's still fairly new.
It is.
Obviously, and I think I mentioned it before, like I remember my dad talking about it years ago when it was like very thou shalt not, right?
Right.
Were you, what was the I guess, you take those last moments, I guess, that you knew you only had, like you said, like weeks, maybe days.
Right.
What was the time spent about, like when you would sit down and talk, or
well, at that point, I mean, she didn't do a lot of talking because of the lack of breath. She tried not to show a lot of emotion because getting worked up obviously made it hard for her to breathe. But we would just go, and we would try to have as normal of visits as we could, right up until the point when it was October 28th, I believe, when a representative from MAID came to visit with her to get the ball rolling. And then that's when a lot of things came out that we hadn't been able to find online, like how does this work in the states that allow assisted suicide. You have to physically ingest a drug, and no one can help you, so you still have to have enough wits about you and even the strength to lift something to your mouth,
right,
to take the drug. I mean, if you're too far gone that you can't do that, that's not an option for you. But what Canada offers is actually, it's a form of euthanasia. So you can have an IV port put in and a series of drugs is administered to bring about your death.
Right.
In a very peaceful manner, I might add.
Yes. Yes. And then, and family can be there when this happens, or
yes, yes, exactly. So in this case, Jennifer's best friend came that morning. My mom had been staying with Jennifer to help look after her, and myself and my other sister came as well. So there was 4 of us there present for her death, along with the nurse practitioner who performed the procedure.
Right, right. You write in your book very well. You're very specific from what I have read so far. The journey of writing this book, and I'm going through now. I'm looking at all the titles: No Silver Lining, Remembrance Day, Up and Down. When you wrote the book, I know you brought a lot of it from your journal, but was it pleasant writing the book? I guess, did it kind of lift some positive memories from it all?
Well, the book itself is not overly positive, but it was therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
To write about my emotions and whatnot, because let's face it, not a lot of people understand what medical assistance in dying is. Not a lot of
Right.
people have been there to experience it for a loved one or a friend. And so there is this feeling of not only being, in a state of grief, but feeling alone because nobody else has had this experience that you know of.
Yeah.
People talk about this.
Yeah. We need to, I guess, then more often.
Yeah, I think I look at my book as, okay, this is an honest and open description of what my family went through. But I hope it will help open the conversation about medical assistance in dying.
Yeah.
Because I think people need to talk about it and find out where they stand on it and how they feel about it. Because if it's going to keep increasing in popularity, it's going to become a normal in society. And you need to be ready to live with someone's decision down the road, whether it's a loved one or a friend who might take advantage of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I want to hear that, right, from a loved one. So
Yeah,
I made this decision. Oh, right.
And that's, like I said, and that was the point that where it became real and became hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that last week leading up to it, knowing, when she was going to die, it's like I wanted to be anywhere else but walking on that path. But, there was no escaping it. It was just something the family and I had to face as bravely as we could, because, we just tried to spend as much time as we could with Jennifer that week. And when that day came, unfortunately, it was very somber. It was really hard to anybody to be, not that we want to be raw about this, but, it weighed really heavily on us.
I can only imagine. Haven't had that one yet. But that being said, you've been putting this out. You've sent out. You're getting some attention from this, right?
Yes.
Has all the attention been positive
so far?
So far, are you expecting other?
Well, I've had a couple of friends express that. They realize I didn't have a choice in this, but this isn't a choice that they would make for themselves. And I mean, everybody has their own opinion about it and the right to make their own decision about how they feel about it.
Sure.
But for the most part, I mean, I've had a lot of press. It's been good press, and it's mostly everybody just let me tell my story.
Yeah, right. And that's your right.
Yes.
Well, and I think now, if I can ask this question, this has been kind of sitting on my mind. Religion can get involved in this, can it not?
Yes. And the nurse practitioner that we spoke with, she said, she and some of the other people she worked with, they try to kind of keep it on the down low because of the pushback from some religious groups.
Yeah. So it's still a sensitive issue, right? But I guess, like you said, we
yes.
So this is we talked just a few moments ago about having this conversation. At this point, it's still an awkward conversation in society, I guess, is the best way to call it. Right?
It is. I mean, Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, but I've always said if it feels like an awkward conversation, it's probably one that needs to be had.
Oh, more than likely, definitely. And I know some people struggle even to talk about, planning their own funeral arrangements and things ahead of time.
Yeah.
I have a family member that, he won't. Down the road, somebody else will be making those decisions. So yeah, but it's an important thing to talk about. Just like, like writing your wills and getting your powers of attorneys in place and things like that. It's not easy to talk about, but it's important to have things in place. And in this case, maybe to discuss with your family if you came down with a terminal illness, is this a route you'd want to go? And how do you prepare yourselves for that?
Yeah, well, I like the do not resuscitate thing as well. It sort of comes around too, right? Exactly. And I had to have that conversation with my sister when it came to my mom, right? So, never really thought about, yeah. Right.
Yeah, and my sister Jennifer, she put those in place so that, if by chance, somebody found her unresponsive, this is a case for, don't call the hospital, don't, take heroic measures to save her because she was dying anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and so where do we bring it up? Do we bring this up at the dinner table? Hey, maybe with your children?
I think it would, at the same time that you're discussing your wills and powers of attorney or maybe funeral planning, especially if you're getting into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're kind of like, these things need to be taken care of. Maybe put this on the table too to have a discussion about.
Yeah, good point, right? Jennifer, we were just talking not that long ago about, I said, listen, we got to get that done. And I said to somebody the other day, I said, when do you need a will? And they said, well, when you die. I said, no, before. You need it before you die. And all those things need to be in place, or things can go really bad. Arguments can happen. And
you don't want to put your family through that. So,
that's right.
That's, I know it's not an easy thing to do, but, have the conversations, go talk to the people you need to talk to get these things in place so that and then let your family know so that,
it can cause issues between family members, right? Because we don't always agree with each other.
Somebody doesn't know that there's a DNR order on file and they're like, something happens and, one's pushing for, no, we got to save grandma. And that somebody else is saying, well, she doesn't want to be saved. You don't want to be butting heads with somebody at a very emotional time.
Right. Yes. And that's when we have an emotional attachment to things, it makes it that much more difficult.
Exactly.
Right? To make those decisions. Dawn, I thank you so much for and giving me I've got some things to think about, quite honestly, and I'm sure our viewers are kind of, and I'm sure you're going to get lots more positive press from this. And I just think it's great that you took the time to put this together to share with people. So thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before I let you get back to your day?
No, I think that's it. The book is available at the Bookkeeper in Sarnia and at the Arts Den in Petrolia if you want to pick it up locally, or go to my website, www.donstilwell.ca, and there's other buying choices there as well. Okay,
great. And I'll make sure I post that link on Facebook after the show. Dawn, again, thank you so much for sharing your story here today.
Great. Thank you.
Dawn, once again, I've already said it. I'll say it many times again. Thank you so much for sharing Jennifer's Choice, A Right to Die story, your book, and your sister's story. An important one to share, and I've got lots to think about. I think many of us have lots to think about after watching that interview. Thanks again, Dawn. And if you want to get Dawn's book, you can go to her website, dawnstilwell.ca, and find out more about Dawn there as well. You can also find her on Facebook, and the book is also available here locally in Sarnia at the Sarnia Bookkeeper. Thanks again, Dawn. All right, we're going to do some fundraising now for Ohana Landing. That's right, the Youth Transitional Housing Facility is always needing to raise funds to keep supporting the youth that are using the facility here in our community. And Joel Bissonette from OPSU Local 128 here to talk about sitting out in the cold to give them some support. Take a look at the interview, and then I'll be back to wrap things up. All right. Well, joining me now, we're going to talk fundraising here in the community. And my friend Joel Bissonette is the president of OPSU Local 128. Thanks for being here, Joel.
No problem.
I think
Happy,
this is our first time doing this.
for me being on your show, it is.
Yeah.
We've had many chats.
We
but
sure
this is my
have.
first time coming on the show.
I'm not
Sometimes
sure
I'm camera shy. I sometimes try and avoid the camera.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Listen, speaking of doing well, well, first of all, thanks for your time. But I know that you're part of the corrections division with OPSU, and you guys are doing some fundraising, and actually one that's kind of dear to my heart as well. You're doing something for Ohana Landing.
Yeah. So actually, it was, I'm not shy about saying it was you that reached out to us. I know you're aware. Our local, we typically try and do regular fundraising events and pick different charities. During winter months, we kind of slow down, but in the spring, summer, and fall, we typically will do a lot of like barbecue fundraising. We'll hold barbecues where we are doing barbecues with all the money generated from the barbecue goes to a particular charity. And our locals are about 80 members, and we usually raise. I've seen us for different charities raise anywhere from $300 to $1,400.
Right. Well, who doesn't like a good barbecue, right? But something a little different this time. I got to tell you, you're being pretty brave. Although it's been mild the last couple of days here. Fingers crossed. What are you doing? You're doing something down at the jailhouse.
Right. So you reaching out to us about Ohana Landing, I wasn't until you kind of asked, hey, this is a charity near to my heart. Would you guys be happy to? I kind of did some reading and educated myself about what it's about, and I thought it was a great idea. So it's I guess it's friends of ours from Preferred Towing who have started this project up, and they converted a old daycare center into self-contained apartment living units where they help youth 16 to 24 get kind of set up, right? So it's to get homeless youth off the street and get them set up in a place where they can be successful. I think I've read somewhere where their kind of whole thing is a hand up, not a handout.
That's right. That's exactly what they say. It's a youth transitional housing facility.
Right. So, I think that's a great idea. Even linked to corrections division, if we help some of these youth at this early stage get off the street and help with that, it may help put them on a better path that otherwise may have had them seeing me in a different light.
Well,
right.
Yeah.
So,
we don't really want to see you, Joel. No offense, but I hope you in that situation.
Right. So, this isn't something like this is on some level directly ties into, my job as well. Right. With, our goal of, like I said, our goal is to see people incarcerated. Right. Wherever possible, corrections will try and rehabilitate and set people up for success. So if we can intervene at the, if my union can do something to help intervene before they even see us, then all the better.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see this happening from your division. Again, before we started the camera here, I sort of said corrections officers, you kind of get forgotten about sometime. Like say, you see the firefighters and the police and all that, because they're out front. You're kind of hidden behind walls. So is this part of a campaign too, to kind of make an awareness for corrections and say, hey, we're here. And like you say, we do care about our community and we're here to give back into the community. Is that part of it?
Absolutely. So back in, we have our provincial committees for our union, and I want to say it was 2018 is when we did our first province-wide push on this. We, as the corrections division, we have regular meetings where all our local leaders and our provincial leaders meet with each other, discuss different things. And 5 years ago, in 18, we decided that we wanted to really start doing this push to make ourselves more visible, because, as you said, when we're on duty, we're behind the wall. You don't see us, right? There's no kids in the schoolyard or, people that need help crossing the street behind the walls. So we wanted to show, that the corrections does definitely care about the community, and we will give back every opportunity we can. So we've done for the previous, from 2018 up until 21, we were doing province-wide big events. I believe this year, the province-wide this time of year hasn't been organized, because with us with the last wave of COVID and social gathering limits, we weren't sure where we'd be at this time of year.
Right.
But this one that I'm doing, me and 3 of my colleagues are going to be spending 24 hours outside on the jail courthouse property. So outside in the cold to raise awareness for homelessness. And in this case, in particular, youth homelessness. With all of the money we raise, we're asking for donations, and all the money's going to Ohana Landing.
Awesome. So you're going to be outside for 24 hours, like rain or snow or whatever.
Right. We are. Now we do have a tent set up in case it gets too snowy and blowy, because we don't want to. We do on some level. We can't put our own health at risk.
No, right.
So we do need. And I guess homeless people. You see those tent cities. So I think having a tent set up in case we need to take cover from wind is still doing the job of raising awareness for homelessness, because you quite see a lot of homeless people will resort to their tent cities.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So
I'm allowed to bring you hot chocolate that night if I wanted to come by.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have some friends on the Sarnia Police Force that are working nights at night, and they've said, if their tours bring them by the courthouse, they're going to bring us some coffee as well.
Right. So, perfect.
Yeah. So we're going to be spending 24 hours outside, and we're tent set up for shelter if from the wind and rain only. But we're not going to be sleeping. Our intention is we're going to be awake the whole time, and I'll be doing some. I know I have Tam. I'm not sure. Her last name's escaping right now, but you introduced me to her. That.
Oh yeah, Tammy Van Den Heuvel. Yeah,
Van Den Heuvel. Yes, I wasn't even going to try and pronounce that without hearing it first. So I've been in touch with her. She's going to come by the afternoon on the 24th because we're going from Thursday the 24th at 8 a.m. till Friday the 25th at 8 a.m. So the afternoon of the 24th, Tammy's going to stop by. I'm going to do some social media videos and live events with her talking about what Ohana Landing is, because I'm sure she can speak way better than I can about it. And then throughout the day and night, my friends and I will ourselves check in on social media, just kind of doing a live update of, hey, here we are. This is what we're doing.
Come by and give us some money.
Yeah, come by and drop off some money. I will be taking cash donations the day of the event there if people like, or we have as you just put on the screen for us, a GoFundMe set up as well for online donations if people feel more comfortable doing it that way.
Yeah. And I'm going to be coming down and hanging out for a little while as well. And we'll do some of that social media stuff. And I'll probably bring some hot chocolate or whatever. And we'll get the GoFundMe out there, and we'll do what we can to raise money for Ohana Landing. I think it's really cool that you guys do this, because, people do need to know that you are a part of our community and you can have a positive impact. Not just probably that whatever label, because of media and television, whatever, puts on a corrections officer, right?
Right. And in the media, that's kind of there's very few examples in the media where they portray corrections officers in a positive light.
Right.
Like most of the movies and media I've seen has us portrayed as the corrupt goons, which is very far from the truth.
Yes.
There's, like I said, like one of the only ones I can think of where it shows us in a positive light is the Green Mile, like the Tom Hanks shows what a good deal. No, but they still have their asshole Percy in there, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Right. But
yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, just the media historically doesn't generally portray my profession in the most positive light.
Yeah, well, we are doing it here today, and I thank you and your friends, Joel, for helping us out there, or helping out Ohana Landing, I should say, and giving us your time to do that. I'm looking forward to the event, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised on how well the public reacts to all of this. It's always said pretty well every week here on the show that, Sarnia Lambton's really good at coming together and supporting these fundraising events. So I think, do you have a goal in mind?
I do. I said I have a goal of $1,000. Okay. So I'm kind of historically from what our, the fundraisers Michael has done, our low end has always been, the 300 plus, but we have hit those $1,000 mark pluses before.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a great cause, and I'm setting my goal at the higher end of what our local typically has been able to do. Now I've started pushing this on social media a little already, ramping up for next week.
Yep.
And between the cash, like I think we're almost at 300 so far for it. Yeah, we're at 225 on the online already.
Perfect.
And I've got another 100 in cash already as well. So I mean, we're over.
I think you're going to go way over that 1,000 mark.
That would be awesome. I mean, a week, a week out exactly, we're already over 25% to our goal. So
yeah, perfect. Joel, thank you so much, and thanks to your friends for making this happen for Ohana Landing, and we'll look forward to seeing you. I never thought I'd say this to you. I'll look forward to seeing you at the jail.
Right. Well, it's jail and courthouse park.
It's
a shared parking lot. So we're going to be in the parking lot where the jail and courthouse is. We'll be in the northwest corner of the. It's a pretty large property, so we're going to be set up in the northwest corner of the parking lot.
Perfect, Joel. Thanks so much, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, Joel, great job, buddy. You did great in front of the camera. You're welcome back anytime. And thanks to Joel and some of his colleagues from the corrections facility here in Sarnia that are going to be sitting out in the cold or whatever the weather might be for 24 hours to raise funds for Ohana Landing, the youth transitional housing facility here in Sarnia. I'll be down there at some point, and Tammy Vanden Heuvel is going to be down there at some point as well. We're going to be bringing the hot chocolate and the coffee and the donuts. If you want to make your donations, there it is once again on your screen. I'll give you a moment to write that down. We'll also be posting this in the comments section on Facebook, so you can click on that link and give your support to Ohana Landing. And thanks to Joel and his team and the correction officers at OPSU Local 128 for everything that they do here in our community as well. All right, well, that's going to be it. I got to get back to the Sting game. Even though I'm already there, I'm right here, right? You know what I'm talking about. That's all the time I got for you this week, everybody. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Au revoir for now.